and I'm affected by what they say. You know, this character should die, and I go, well, maybe they're right. You know, so I try to be in tune to what the audience wants and to what my editor wants. At the same time, try to put my own creativity in there, my own tell my own stories.
You know, the funny thing is, we always feel one of the things I'm happy about at Marvel Comics is we do read the fan mail everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes it can be funny, like with Spider-Man for years, 50% of the fan mail used to say, you've got to kill Aunt May. We hate Aunt May. We're tired of Aunt May. And we print those letters, and then the other 50% of the fan mail would say, if you kill Aunt May, we're never going to buy another copy again. So you have to use your own judgment, too. But it's great to see what the readers want, and man, they sure let us know, don't they?
Definitely, definitely. It's great getting the mail.
Let me ask you another thing, Jim. You were talking earlier, and actually, I've known you, but we haven't really had that much of a chance to talk before, so I found this fascinating. You were showing me something that impressed me so much. You also know a lot about meme, don't you?
Meme?
Or mime. I'm always saying, you know, before I said the word, I say, I've got to say it right. I'm not going to say mime. That's probably wrong. It is mime.
Right.
It's from pantomime. That's how I'm going to
Right, it's one of those French things. Yeah.
But somebody told me in France they say meme.
Right.
So if this tape goes to France, I'm correct.
Harry, I mean, I don't know why they get into that whole different pronunciation.
But show us a little bit about that, because you did a little before, and it was really great.
Well, I like to use it. I took a class in college, a sort of extracurricular sort of thing, and
when you should have been doing your psychology.
Right. And what they do in mime is they have a thing called tick and tack. I think it's been a while, but it's the ability to create an illusion of weight or resistance when there's nothing there. And I actually think you can use a lot of those techniques, or at least the thinking behind it all, when you're drawing the comic books, because to create a successful book, and we'll go over there and I'll show you some stuff.
I can't wait.
Okay, you gotta take things to the extreme. You gotta if a guy's big and frightening, he should be huge. If a car is like skidding around a corner, the wheels should be coming up and smoke should be flying and papers should be flying. And the thing is, these are all little. You have to put clues and ciphers in to create the illusion of speed, of momentum, or whatever. And mine, it's sort of the same thing. You want if something is heavy, you want to see it on the face, and you want to see it in their arms and the way they hold their back and stuff. So if there's like a wall in front of you, you have this moment of total relaxation, and then as you press up against the wall, you create tension in your arm. So it's been a while. So and so if you have like a rope or something, this is another example. So if you're picking up a rope, you would grab it like this, right? And then pull like that, and you can see where the shoulders go.
Yeah,
and
every part of your body is moving.
So if someone's pulling on this rope, you would feel it in the head, and all these things will move as the things as changes happen. And the thing is, there's no one pulling on this rope or whatever. I have to create the illusion of someone pulling on that rope, and that's what we do with comics. Is you have to create the illusion of characters jumping and hitting each other or lifting a car. They just can't lift it like this unless they're incredibly strong, and that's the impression you want to get. But they should feel it, and there should be sound effects, and their face should be grimacing, and things like that.
Oh, man, that was great. I used to put the sound effects in on the strips when I did. That was the thing I enjoyed the most. I lettered them in myself.
Right.
And I used to try to do them phonetically. I'd make up my own funny sounds. And once, I did a little caption that I was most proud of. I did a sound effect, something like Garumph, and I had 3 O's, G-U-R-O-O-M-P-H.
Right.
And I put a little asterisk, and on the bottom of the panel I wrote, obviously the third O is silent. We got more mail on that. But what you just did is great, because basically it seems to me that every artist is really a director. You're directing your own strip, and you've got to be that way. You're working with actors. The only thing is you're working with actors that you have drawn, and I see that's even part of the note I have here. And can you give it?
Yeah, sure. I can show you. As far as the directing goes, you want to.
That camera is hungering for an example.
All right, here we go. Example 1. This is a Xerox of a layout I did, and essentially it just tells the story, and it's very simple. It blocks out the figures and it identifies the characters. And I do just very quick gesture outline drawings, nothing too detailed, because at this point I'm just thinking about telling the story clearly. And also...
and where it'll appear on the page.
Right. And so, yeah, you are a director. You say to this guy, Sabretooth, you don't look frightened enough. Why don't you grimace a little more, and we'll put some sweat, beating up on your face or something like that. And then we'll maybe put some action lines. There are ways to sort of accentuate the drama or the tension. So the final image looks sort of like this.
That's a heck of a difference.
Yeah, well, I put a little more work into this.
Yeah.
You know, so but the thing
And
is,
there he is
There
with
he is.
much more of a grimace than he had right over there, right?
Right,
But
right.
you knew by doing that.
that's my
this is the way
shorthand.
you wanted
Right.
it to
That's sort of
look.
my shorthand grimace. So when
Yeah.
I go back days later and actually draw it, I go, oh, that you should be grimacing. And then, you know, I put all the special effects really short with shorthand here. And then later I'll go in and put a lot more lines and broken glass flying and all that stuff. That's sort of like special effects. But as far as the directing, this is where it all happens as far as a comic book goes. Because you're telling stories. That's what it all comes down to.
When you say shorthand, that's a pretty good example because basically, I guess, the original rough layouts you make, that is shorthand.
Right.
And it's just little notes so you know what happens, and then you go back and you put it in.
Right.
You put it in English or
Right.
in drawings
Right.
in this case.
In many ways, the final drawing is actually not tedious, but it's just icing on the cake.
Yeah.
But the hard part comes in doing this stuff.
Well, I don't know. You're keeping me in suspense, and we're probably keeping our viewers in suspense. But I would say in about 3 minutes, we're going to
minutes,
get
huh?
over to that drawing board,
All right.
and you're really going to show how you do it. Let me ask you one question, though. How do you go, in your own mind, how do you go from the basic idea to the completed artwork? What goes on in your head as you do it? In 2 words.
Right. Well, I visualize it, then I draw it.
Take 3
Okay.
minutes.
All right. Well, when I read a story, or if I'm coming up with a story idea, I try to think of. I mean, since it's pictures, I try to think of images. What would be a good image? You know, locations and settings and things like that. You don't want the standard backgrounds and buildings. You want something fantastic. You want
Absolutely.
You want to excite the readers with stuff they've never seen before. So when it's hard to do this, of course. So I sit there and I kind of close my mind, or like especially if I'm in the shower, I just let my mind wander, and I play the comic book in my head, and I see the characters run and down the hall, and I hear the dialogue and the special effects. It's like a little mini movie. And then when I get to that stage, that's when I start sitting down and jotting stuff down, and then moving scenes around and things like that. And then I would go from that and actually start doing the breakdowns like this. And hopefully it all fits within 22 pages, otherwise you're in trouble.
Now, there are many artists in the business who can draw a strip.
Right.
But the kind of guy who can sell 8 million copies, he can draw it in such a way that every panel is exciting, and that whatever you're showing the ultimate of that, so it really gets to you. And instead of me talking, we're now going to show you drawing it. Hey, why don't we go over there and do some artwork?
All right, sure.
I mean, I would like to do it, but since you're the guest, I'll let you do it this
All
time.
right.
All right?
If you insist.
Why not? Listen, Jim, before we get started with the real heavy stuff, okay?
Right.
I think people might like to know, before you start drawing a strip, what is it you do? Do you do any mental gymnastics, any warming up? How do you approach it?
I do. You know, I'll do things like the equivalent of jumping jacks or something. Just loose little doodles. Not finished drawings by any stretch.
Like, for instance.
Like, for instance, you're right. I should get to this. I'll just go in and I'll just go. Okay, I'll just draw a couple hands. You know, maybe they'll only have 2 fingers. It'll save me a little time here. You know. And
Only 2 fingers, eh?
yeah. Well, you know, a lot of characters have 2 fingers.
You make them look so good, the 2 fingers look right.
Right, and then I go. Okay, I'm
But
done.
you lie to us that